Oh. 1 week down, 2 weeks behind. G.I. Joe can't cry, don't matter, because you ain't got the camera turned on anyway. Let's party!
If I don't start this video with a disclaimer that it's going to include frequent coarse language, then you'll surely complain later. So this is your only warning. Do not watch this video with your children. Alright, we good? Let's get into it. I have been a fan of G.I. Joe since childhood, and when I got into collecting Palitoy's Action Man as a young adult, I also started collecting the original 1960s G.I. Joes, after I learned that they were the inspiration behind Britain's favourite boys' toy. Over the last 3 decades I have acquired a modest collection of 12-inch Joes, and I also collect the 3 3/4 inch A Real American Hero line. Yet when it comes to the modern G.I. Joe Classified series, I am a lot more selective with my purchases. While I have picked up a few of my favourite characters in this 6-inch scale, if I'm going to invest money into A Real American Hero, then I'd rather save my pennies towards filling the gaps in my vintage collection. Yet every now and again Hasbro offers a figure that seems almost irresistible to me. On paper. With this year marking the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe, Hasbro have released 2 commemorative action figures in the 6-inch classified scale that are inspired by the original 60s Joes, as opposed to the characters that appeared in the 1980s comics and cartoons. The 60th anniversary Action Soldier and Action Sailor are deluxe troop builders that come packed in with a boatload of accessories, and they are far more appealing to me than the umpteenth version of Snake Eyes. But are they worth the price of admission? Stay tuned.
Come with me, toy fans.
Although both of these figures went up for pre-order at the same time, most of my collector friends received the Action Sailor several weeks before the Soldier arrived, with many of them claiming that the Recon Diver is the best G.I. Joe Classified series figure made to date, and I tend to agree with that sentiment. Although the Action Sailor isn't perfect, let's face it, very few toys are. But he does come with a vast and excellent assortment of weapons and gear, and one of the best aspects of the design is how he can carry almost all of his equipment in a logical, realistic way. This got me very excited for the arrival of the Action Soldier because, being an ex-army guy, I'm more interested in the infantry soldier than the Recon Diver. Yet all my hopes of a quality action figure experience were dashed the moment I pulled this piece of hot garbage out of the box. Now I'll admit that the thumbnail for this video is a little clickbaity, because the 60th anniversary Action Soldier is not the worst G.I. Joe ever, not by a long shot, but I only wrote that because the word disappointing was too long to add to the thumbnail, and that's what this is to me, the most disappointing G.I. Joe ever produced.
You sure? Oh yeah.
Yeah?
For certain, man.
Before I get into my reasoning, we need to establish the understanding that people can and should judge this figure based on military accuracy. Because every time I've done this in the past with other classified figures, there are always the numpties out there who try and dismiss someone else's opinion because in their eyes, G.I. Joe is all about the fantasy lasers depicted in the cartoon. But that argument doesn't hold a single drop of water here, because this action figure is intended to commemorate the G.I. Joes from 1964 and not A Real American Hero. And those original figures were made with an extremely high level of military accuracy, with many of the employees working at Hasbro at that time being veterans themselves, so they knew what they were doing.
It's like working with mercury. It's high science, man. It's art form. Yeah.
People even made these types of boneheaded comments on my Big Ben video. Yet when a figure is based on a real military unit such as the British SAS, and from a real-world conflict like the Falklands War, to say that you don't care about accuracy because your headcanon is all about red and blue lasers, then your only argument is ignorance. Also, believing that the Sunbow cartoon is the be-all and end-all of G.I. Joe is massively disrespectful to the rich legacy that came before it, so stop that stupid shit. The base figure here is pretty decent, and the multi-cam paint job applied to the uniform works quite well.
We talked about camo earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this, 3-color camo almost on every piece of this guy. This one took a while.
Hasbro has given us alternate heads and hands, so this soldier can either be a white guy or a black guy.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
But the G.I. Joe team have opted to make these masked heads. I wonder where they got that idea. A much better idea for a 60th anniversary commemorative figure would have been to recreate the original 60s head sculpt in a smaller scale, complete with the trademark scar on his cheek, but I'm pretty sure I know why they didn't do this. It's because that would mean they'd have to offer alternate neck sections as well.
You wanna hold my dick?
The other major issue here is that due to a totally botched design, this figure's head has barely any range of movement whatsoever. When the figure comes armed with a machine gun that is designed to be fired from the prone position, it is inexcusable to offer a soldier that cannot look down the sights of his weapon system. What makes this doubly frustrating is that we know Hasbro is capable of offering far superior articulation, yet they have used the same joint on the Recon Diver. Do you realise how difficult it would be to swim underwater if your head couldn't look up? It would be impossible. Who designed this shit?
An imbecile. Yeah. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
Both of these G.I. Joes have been issued with dog tags, and these fun little accessories can be used with any of your other 1 to 12 scale military figures, making them very versatile, while also paying tribute to the medal ID tags that came with the original Joes released in 1964. Out of the box, the infantry soldier is wearing a soft goods poncho, which is a piece of equipment that came included with more than one early issue G.I. Joe set. This poncho has a pocket stitched onto the front, and Hasbro have done an adequate job of making the camouflage match the pattern that is painted onto the figure's uniform. Strangely though, the design team did not give this poncho a fabric hood, and instead opted to include two PVC plastic hoods, with one simulating the hood being worn over the head, and one with the hood pulled down. Yet both of these accessories have been produced in a brown plastic that does not match the poncho's camouflage, and it just looks weird. Why didn't they just stitch a fabric hood onto the poncho? Why go to the effort of producing two separate plastic hoods when a fabric hood would have looked so much better? Why? Why? Why?
Retarded, like really retarded.
Two of the main weapons included here have been taken from the previously released Big Ben, and if you've watched my video about that figure, you've already heard my thoughts on the sheer idiocy of a double-barreled assault rifle. Now we get to the totally fucking gash double-barreled assault rifle, and this weapon is an even dumber choice than having a machine pistol carried in a drop leg holster.
I mean, I brushed my teeth retarded, I rode bus retarded.
Damn.
Hasbro have also dialed the gumminess of the plastic up to 11, with the light machine gun being the worst offender. Mine came out of the package with a barrel shaped like a fucking banana, and the buttstock has the same rigidity as a rubber garden hose that has been left out in the sun on a hot day. Being fully aware of Hasbro's proclivity for producing gummy weapon accessories, I was nervous for how the 50 caliber machine gun would turn out, because the levels of warpage can be accelerated on a longer, thinner accessory. Yet Hasbro have avoided this issue by making the 50 cal out of two separate sections, with the barrel able to be removed from the main gun. Another piece that can be removed from the gun is the spade handle with butterfly trigger, and you can swap these out for a pistol grip, so that the action soldier can wield the gun like Roadblock does. But yet again, this kind of bullshit belongs in a kid's cartoon and not in the real world. The 50 cal machine gun can be mounted to the included tripod, and it comes with a belt of ammunition, but for some stupid reason, there is a section of link left hanging from one end. For those of you that aren't that knowledgeable about military weapons, the reason this is so dumb is because 50 caliber machine guns use disintegrating link to hold the rounds together, which means as each round is fired, the spent casing and the section of link is separated from the rest of the belt and ejected from the weapon system. Sure, this might be a small detail that you could call a nitpick, but once again it reinforces the lack of military knowledge in the Hasbro design team.
Stupid ass Jack. Trying to come back from that.
One of the major reasons I was excited to get these two 60th anniversary figures is because Hasbro told us that the vests would be removable. And this is something that classified fans have been asking for a very long time. It's one of the big reasons that collectors love the Valaverse Action Force line, because all the equipment is interchangeable across the different figures, making it a customizer's wet dream.
So here he is, and what's cool about this figure is not only do you have the swappable heads, all of his vest come off. So the under vest comes off, his life preserver comes off.
Liar!
But Hasbro lied to us, man. Neither the vest on the soldier nor the sailor is capable of being removed from the figure. What is new though is the addition of multiple ports on the soldier's plate carrier that can be used to attach a variety of different pouches in an assortment of different layouts. And yes, in the military, we call these pouches.
You can take all the bags off, and you can rearrange them however you like.
You went full retard, man.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
We have a large admin pouch, an IFAK pouch or an individual first aid kit pouch, and an assortment of other utility pouches. And I have no issue with the inclusion of any of these options. It's what's lacking that grinds my gears the most. The modern infantry soldier's ammunition loadout is 210 rounds of 5.56. That's 7 30-round magazines, with one carried in the weapon and the other 6 carried in pouches. However, this Joe has only been issued with one fucking ammo pouch that looks like it carries 2 magazines, until you realise that it's actually too small to carry any spare mags. I get that it would be difficult to produce 6 magazines with pouches in this smaller scale, but the decision to offer all these other pieces of kit and not a single usable ammo pouch is downright moronic. And the one pouch that does sort of look like an ammo pouch, even if it's too small, is actually pictured in Hasbro's official marketing images, on the vest, upside fucking down.
You know any retired war heroes?
The belt issued here is the same one that came with Rock and Roll, and it can be used to carry the handheld radio. The radio attaches to the belt via a plug and port system, similar to the way the pouch is attached to the vest. But in another boneheaded design decision, Hasbro chose to make the ports on the belt and vest different sizes. So the pouches cannot be attached to the belt, and the radio does not stay attached to the vest with any confidence. While I guess you can admire Hasbro's ambition with their attempt at trying something new, this swappable pouch concept is more frustrating than it's worth, because every time you articulate the figure, the pouches keep popping off, and the vest ends up being so bulky that it hinders the figure's posability. By now you're probably thinking that there surely can't be any more fuck-ups with this figure, but trust me, I've saved the biggest brain fart of all for last. The Action Soldier comes with a very nicely sculpted rucksack that was first issued to Outback, but it has these really annoying pegs sticking out of either side. Outback used these to carry his entrenching tool and rifle, but since the infantry soldier hasn't been issued with an entrenching tool, and the trigger guards on his 2 main weapons are far too large to attach here, I was scratching my head as to what these pegs could be used for.
We designed the mounted machine gun to come off the mount, and if you notice on the top of the tripod is a port that will fit on the backpack pegs, so he can literally stow his giant machine gun, which is super cool.
Hold on, wait a fucking minute. You want this figure to carry a 50 caliber machine gun and a tripod along with all his other equipment? Let's think this through for a moment. The 50 caliber machine gun weighs a whopping 84 pounds, and the tripod hits the scales at 44 pounds. Now how much do you think his backpack would weigh? When I served, the average weight of my Bergen was anywhere between 55 and 85 pounds, but let's assume for a moment that this soldier is going on a short 24-hour operation, so we'll be generous and say that it's only 35 pounds. His plate carrier, without any of the added pouches and kit, weighs 22 pounds because of the heavy ceramic plates used to protect his vital organs. Add to that almost 2 pounds for a ballistic helmet, 7 pounds for his assault rifle, 5 pounds of ammunition for his rifle, his pistol weighs 3 pounds, his IFAK is 1 pound, and he has 2 pounds of water in a bottle on his belt. So we'll let him leave the light machine gun behind since he's already humping the 50 cal. That comes to a total of 205 pounds worth of weapons and equipment, the weight of a UFC light heavyweight fighter. Do you expect this guy to be able to maneuver across the battlefield, or are you trying to fucking kill him? Whoever came up with this idea is either really sadistic or really fucking dense.
Right?
You was farting in bathtubs and laughing your ass off.
Yeah.
I know there's plenty of you out there who think I'm being too harsh and you wish I'd stop talking shit about your beloved G.I. Joe. But the irony here is that I'm only saying the things I say because I want your beloved G.I. Joe to be better. Hasbro should have pulled out all the stops for their flagship brand's big birthday, but instead they offered a wholly lackluster effort that did absolutely nothing to appeal to their oldest fans. You know, the ones that collect 12-inch Joes, and the ones that have been around for the entire 60-year period that they are half-heartedly trying to celebrate. It was only 2 years ago when Hasbro tried to make a big deal out of the 40th anniversary of a real American hero, yet collectors of that line were underserved in 2022, and now they're letting us down again in 2024. So much more should have been done to commemorate the legacy of one of the world's greatest military toy lines, and this ridiculous action soldier is a smack in the face to the fans of this brand. G.I. Joe started out in 1964, not only as an exciting new concept in the boys' toy aisle, but also as a tribute to America's brave fighting man. A role model that could inspire children and educate them with their well thought out, accurate details. Yet the current Joe team working at Hasbro have lost their way.
God damn it! We lost! We fucking super lost, man!
They understand military equipment about as well as they understand their own franchise. Instead of making a worthwhile effort to celebrate 60 years of G.I. Joe, the attempt here seems more focused on chasing Valaverse. And until they make some personnel changes and get some fresh blood in the design team, they'll never court a new fan base for G.I. Joe and help it grow. And those of us who are left will continue to be let down. Do better, Hasbro. Do better. Because your fans deserve it. And so does G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man from head to toe, on the land, on the sea, in the air.
G.I. Joe, America's movable fighting man, the most realistic toy soldier the world has ever known. Army combat with G.I. Joe. Action soldier. Beachhead assault with G.I. Joe. Action marine. Underwater demolition with G.I. Joe. Action sailor.